Hi everyone! Welcome to the Neal's Yard Dairy subscription, which delivers 3 different artisan cheeses from around the UK and Ireland to your door every month. I'm excited this month to introduce you to April's selection, which includes Brevubac, Winneats Wensleydale, and Montgomery's Cheddar. And I'm particularly excited this month to have Brevubac included and really kind of back with us on our counters. It really is one of my absolutely favorite cheeses that we sell, and so for me, it's a great kind of indication that spring is definitely here. It has arrived. And so Brevubac is a little raw sheep's milk cheese from Northern Wales made by Kerry Rhymes, kind of in the foothills of Snowdonia. And one of the interesting things I find about this cheese is that Wales has such a long history of sheep farming, but it never really developed a strong tradition for making cheese out of all of this sheep's milk. And so Kerry, who was originally from Devon, but has really rooted herself in her community in Northern Wales, when she decided that she wanted to try her hand at cheese making, she wanted to create a cheese that was really expressive of this region of Wales, the country. And so she went over to France and worked on several different farms to gain cheesemaking experience over there, and then brought back that experience to Wales to make this little lactic sheep's cheese, Brevubac, with the milk from traditional Welsh breeds of sheep from local farmers. So it's a very kind of local production. And Brevubac as a name is also really sweet. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that not in the best way. But it's kind of an imperfect Welsh for little bleat, taken from the fact, of course, that it is a young sheep's milk cheese, which is quite nice. And this cheese, for me, is a great kind of example of a sheep's milk cheese that really kind of embraces the sweetness that's inherent in sheep's milk. Some people can kind of find goat's and sheep's milk cheese to have a bit of an animal taste sometimes, almost kind of goaty or sheepy in the very kind of scientific terms that we use. But this cheese really does not express that for me in that way. Instead, it's creamy, it's quite mild, it's sweet, and it has this lovely kind of wrinkly mold rind that breaks the cheese down from the outside in. So it's got a beautiful kind of transition between the rind, this kind of creamy breakdown in the center. And it's great paired with other kind of sweet condiments like honey or fruit. They're really kind of good complements there to kind of bring that along. Great, so that's Brevubac. Your next cheese is Winneats Wensleydale, which is a raw cow's milk cheese from Cumbria. It's made right in the edge of the Lake District. And the cheesemakers Tom and Claire started making this cheese for a very traditional reason that farmers kind of begin making cheese, is that they're looking for ways to add value to their milk and kind of do what they can to ensure their farm remains sustainable. And so in 2015, they took a cheesemaking course and built themselves a dairy on their farm, and then talked to Andy Swinscoe of Courtyard Dairy, which is over in North Yorkshire, about developing a cheese unique to their farm and to their region. And so Andy shared with them an old recipe for a traditional raw milk Wensleydale cheese from a 1933 Ministry of Agriculture publication. And this recipe helped them develop Winneats Wensleydale, which is their take on a traditional Dale-style cheese, which is a great kind of nod to their surroundings as the farm overlooks the Lake District on one side and the Dales on the other. So it is very expressive of their farm. And this cheese is quite unique as a raw milk Wensleydale, and also kind of, I think, will challenge what you think of as a Wensleydale cheese. It did for me. I grew up thinking of Wensleydale as quite crumbly and pretty acidic, and often with fruit added in like apricots or cranberries. And Winneats Wensleydale is really something else entirely. The texture is a lot softer, more kind of pliant, almost kind of bouncy. And the flavors are much deeper. They can be kind of buttery and yogurty and earthy. And sometimes it has this great little hint of olive towards the end, which I find really addictive. And it also melts really nicely. So it often makes it into our lunches in the shop because it's great to kind of just have it with bread and butter, or melted between some Staffordshire oat cakes with some sauteed onions, which is a great lunch. I would recommend that. Great. So your last cheese this month is Montgomery's Cheddar, one of our best sellers, and a beautiful example of a traditional Somerset cheddar. It's a raw milk cheese, which comes to us from Jamie Montgomery in Somerset, and it's been made on the same farm there since 1911, so it's got quite a long history. And cheddar, as you've probably seen, it can be made the world over. You find it in the UK, in the States, everywhere. But Somerset really is the home of cheddar. And this cheese is the way that cheddar would have been made before industrialization kind of took over. And so it's made with unpasteurized milk from their own herd. It's made using traditional rennet. It's been bound in cloth, rubbed in lard to protect the cheese during maturation. And it's been aged on for about 18 months. So we sell Montgomery's about 18 months old, about a year and a half. And out of all the cheddars that we sell, if you tried other ones of ours, Montgomery's tends to have the driest texture. It's almost a kind of crystalline that melts really nicely in your mouth. And it's the one that I usually turn to when someone comes into the shop looking for a strong cheddar, because it's really deeply savory. It's almost kind of got a flavor like caramelized beef. It's a really kind of intense umami kick to it. And it's a great example of the biggest difference I find between artisan cheddar or artisan cheese compared with factory-made cheese, is that the flavor in handmade cheese just lasts so much longer and is just so much deeper. And you'll find this particularly if you kind of let the cheese come to room temperature and let the kind of flavors open up. It really the flavor just kind of keeps going. So it's one to kind of enjoy over, a nice glass of red wine or a hoppy beer. So just kind of take your time and have a moment. And great, so that is your April selection. You've got Breviabac, Winyeats Wensleydale, and Montgomery's cheddar. I hope you enjoy it. It's a great selection. Any questions, as always, please shoot us an email, give us a ring. We'd love to hear from you, whether to answer any questions or just talk about cheese. We're always here. And I'll see you next month. Bye.